Let me go ahead and pop this. Okay, let me go ahead and start. Actually, let me get this first. 50. Buy that. Okay, let me go ahead and start this. All right, let's do it. Let me get this one back here first. Okay, I'll go ahead and start the podcast. Maybe. Maybe. I know I hit play, but it's not playing. There we go.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Moon Podcast,
Welcome,
episode
welcome.
58, as it were.
Yeah.
I remembered this week I didn't have to reference Discord at all. It was fine.
Yeah.
I am your host, Blue Squadron, joined as always
My
by
man Blue.
Blonde Bear.
Hello.
Blonde
Blonde Bear. You can
Bear.
check me at twitch.tv/blondebear, where I'm working on that merchant ring.
Still working on that merchant ring.
Still working on it. Still working on it.
No.
And
Poor
my
guy,
boy,
dude.
Jacob.
He's been doing it for like, what, 3,000
Hi, my name is
hours?
Jacob.
Could you
I'm the
imagine
main with 765 gear score.
the
I do a lot of
stamina
endgame
to
PvE
do that?
content, such as Olin's.
Gosh.
Someone. The dungeons are currently preparing. I'm doing the Marnie stones right now. I finally collected all of the stones, and so
What's my
we're
drop
working
rate?
towards that.
Almost
And you can find me over at
245.
twitch.tv/Shaken VT, V before the T.
V
All
for the
right,
T.
right on. And the topics of the day, I definitely know them for sure. I was not occupied with other things. The first thing we're going to talk about is item availability and versus item exclusivity. And you know what, Jay? I'm feeling generous, so I'm going to go ahead and let you take the lead on this one.
Right. So I wanted to talk about this topic now that BDO is currently in a time where items that were considered really difficult to get are now becoming more and more available. You know, in its history, even getting, a TED accessory was this big fantastical feat, and now they're kind of just given away in the form of pen capochas,
Yep.
pen black stars, although they're still very
I love
difficult to
it.
get, are much more available than before, and making their ways into the hands of Tuvala Timmy's through the free TED black stars. And now, recently, like a day or two ago, I started seeing pen Debarekas sit on the market on the EU
No
servers,
freaking
surprisingly.
way.
And so I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you
How
think
much does
these
this
certain
even
items
cost?
that
Like
were
200
much
million or
more
something like that?
difficult to acquire
Insane.
back then, like pen black stars, pen Debarekas, C10 horses,
I do not like. I'm
value
actually
their
surprised I had
individuals, or
the
do they still like remain
ability to
awesome feat to have acquired
save
for
up.
you?
Was
And
150 million to get
I
my
can start
black
this off with,
star,
for me,
my Pin
I kind of
Awakening black
live the
star.
feeling of your achievements
Never would
of
imagine me
acquiring
saving up
something
that much.
exclusive that is maybe a little bit devalued due to many people having the same thing. And this was kind of very much the case for the Orzeka armor for me, which was I was one of the first people to acquire it due to limited people at the time being able to grind the spots to drop it, which were Olin's Valley and Ash Forest. I used to feel really special wearing it around, and I always tell this funny moment in the past where I was flipping my farms with the Orzeka armor on, and someone was asking me what costume it was that I was wearing, and I replied La Orzeka. And then they started speaking Spanish to me, thinking that I replied in Spanish, and then it quickly clarified that that was the name of the costume, which goes to show how rare it was at the time.
It's the
And now
La
people
Orzeca.
are
Hola,
La
senor.
Orzeka, yeah.
¿Cómo
If you,
estás?
yeah, maybe I gave off a Spanish flair or something. I don't know, but there's a lot of people walking around with it on, and I do feel a little bit less special, but I do think that for the most part, the way I acquired my items, they still remain as something meritable since it was done during the time that the item was difficult to acquire. And for example, for those who don't know, I enhanced my Pen Black Star back in 2020, which no one was running around with Pen Black Stars, and the amount sold was pretty much in the single digits at the time. And I had worked towards acquiring it by doing my 30k quest to get the 300 stack and saving as much crons as possible, which I think I used about 50,000 crons to get it, which was a lot of crons to save that
I'm
back
not gonna
then,
lie, I
and
really like
also even in
Sage.
today's
I wish the
in
attacks were a little
2025
bit
is still a
quicker,
lot. And so
but
yeah, I mean, I went on and on. But what do you guys
I
think?
like
Do
it
you
a
guys
lot.
feel like the
Just
items
feels
you
good.
have nowadays feel less valuable or feel less special, or do they still hold a lot of like meaning and value to you personally in the journey you took to acquire it?
Blonde, I'll let you go first on it.
I think when it comes to Law or Zeka, these are these moments where you have like sort of like it's like a mini FOMO right? New content
Mm.
comes out specifically for the Olin's La Orzeka costume. When that was announced, I had people that weren't really interested in grinding so much. They were more like PvP heads, and they saw that outfit and they were like, dang, this is pretty cool. This outfit looks sick. You know, if you had a black star, even if it was Tet, you wanted that outfit because it kind of had the same sort of aesthetic. It was a really edgy looking costume.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good on like everybody. So it's like one of those things where when it came out, Olin's was like a top end game spot. You know, everything
Yeah.
kind of basically killed you. The gear was a lot lower, and I feel like that sort of mini FOMO motivates people to go for these things. And I think that
Mm.
obviously with an item that is kind of exclusive because at the time it has like really high requirements. I think that when you go for those things, like it's more so the and you know it's corny to say this, but it's really the memories along the way of getting
Oh yeah,
those things are more
for sure.
valuable than the
friends you made
actual
along the
thing.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
that kind of thing is more valuable than the item itself over time. Obviously, I think it kind of you know, kind of gets a little rusty over time, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. That's just the nature of the game to develop. To like
Oh
kind
look,
of
I already
just
got a
reach
ring.
that over time.
Oh,
I
this could
think
be
that
awesome.
I'm not
Crap, I
more
mean to
so
do that.
upset that like over time more people have gotten it, so it's less exclusive because there are other more exclusive items that people still haven't even gotten yet. I just think that
Yeah.
it's one of those things that like, okay, this is like sort of like the potions. They were really, really exclusive until they made systems to make it easier. I think that
Yeah.
it kind of seems like there's like different tiers of rarity, and some things naturally as more time goes on more people will acquire it because it's motivating to do so. And nowadays Olin's is a pretty regular spot people like to go to. So I think in the costumes case I'm not too upset, or it's just natural for it to sort of devalue, but I still wear it on like almost all my alts. It's like I have every single alt with a Orzeka costume. Every brand new character that comes out, every new class, first costume going on that is an Orzeka. And like, you know, being able to say you can do that is pretty cool because most people always, when the first class comes out, they always
That is
want
true.
to see that, you know, oh man, I want to see the Orzeka on this costume. Is it long cape? Is it short cape? Is it the split cape? You know, people always ask those questions, and I think for that it's kind of tough. I think I'll go ahead and let Blue speak on the law Orzeka because I have other stuff to say about other items in the game, but I don't want to
Yeah.
railroad it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you're good. I personally think that BDO as a game does a remarkable job of making your progress feel like meaningful long term.
Yeah.
Even after years of not logging in,
Yes.
you
I agree.
still feel like the progress that you made back in
Was beneficial.
2017 or 2018 was relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like my progress, like the contribution, the energy gains. Yes, your gear becomes.
I mean, shoot,
a
I
little
had
less
like the
relevant
same
over
boots
time
that I've
for
had
sure,
on
but like it does
like
a
for
good job of
years.
kind of holding on to like the feeling of progression. Now that being said, things like the La Orzeka set,
Crap, meant to
yeah,
do the other
they've
thing.
become less exotic is the word I'm looking
Right.
for. But
Yeah,
I think
that's a
that
good
there's
word,
this there's a really easy way to fix this. And what's this? Naraka Blade Point does this, where if you collect like 10 of one skin, you can make like a super version of that skin. In this
Super
case,
skin? Ooh.
yeah, like Super Saiyan Orzeka. You know what I mean? Like if you got 10
Yeah.
Orzeka sets or something, right? It changed colors and it gave you a better title or like a cooler title. If you got 100 Orzekas,
so cool.
yes, if you got like 100 Orzekas,
Did I
now
put
you
that?
got like the cool,
Okay, I did put it in right.
you know, the blue and like black
The
version
exclusive
or whatever.
version.
Yeah, the exclusive version. You know what I mean? Like, so this is actually pretty easy to fix. And again, it doesn't really devalue.
Wish it would show me
gold
the
Orzeka set. But like, you know, the players that have been kind of working a lot
the
on
debuff.
it can kind of work towards that goal and also be a long-term goal too. I don't know. What do you guys feel about that?
That would be really cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I think that is a sort of an easy fix, yeah, because then you know the people still want to go for the other ones, but then there's like sort of a tiered progression to where you can get more and more and more, and then you know when you see the guy with like the spiky Orzeka costume or whatever,
Come on, bring it on.
the variant
Bring
they
it
get when
on.
they put a lot more you know grind into it, I feel like then it's like, oh man, they've tiered up that costume, so now they're even more.
I definitely wish there
And
was
I think
more variety
because BDO
of
does such a good job, and
costumes
this is what I was going to
that you
branch
could
onto
get without
earlier.
like
They
having
do
to
such a good
buy.
job of like, yeah, the scaling of gear and stuff over time does like a really,
They
really, really good
understand
job of
like why they do
you
it
know,
because
everything's
obviously
always
they want you to
relevant.
buy
Even if you've taken a break
costume,
for a year, you can come back and still feel relevant. You may
but
not feel as relevant if you're comparing yourself to the top 0.001%, but you're relevant in like the entire total scape. You can still experience almost all the content. And I kind of wish they would do that with more items. Like, could you imagine like a reduced cooldown compass or a telescope if you added like another set of the items together? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the funny thing is,
feel
this
like
is
that'd be
like the
cool.
lowest effort. We're asking for like the lowest effort
Right.
content in the entire
It
world.
wouldn't even take
We're
that
asking
much.
for like a reskin. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is the upgraded Sparkle version, and like some intern took like 2 seconds in to do it. They could patch it in right away. Like, I
Just
think that
correct it. Just
yeah, bro. Like, it would be.
And I mean,
sick.
people have known about the legendary items for a long time, and they're still pretty exclusive. I think people kind of value the compass and stuff a little bit less sometimes because you can travel so fast now. So like because of the well, it's more like oh, this goes on my shelf.
It's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's like a novelty less than it is like a rarity. But I still feel like the map is one of the most relevant treasures throughout all the time, because of the fact that you can teleport to town,
Dude.
dump your weight or whatever, and then go back. I think that's
I am just like
invaluable to a lot
murdering
of
these
people. But I
mobs.
wanted to kind of
I
branch
love
this
this
off
little
into when we talk about items
kind of
and
constant
progression
mob
and exclusivity.
wave
It's kind of
going.
interesting with the gear progression, how back in the day, and
Kind
this
of
is just the
satisfying.
natural progression of the game. I remember back in the day when like people had blue and green accessories, right? We had like marks of shadows and witches earrings, and people were at pry and duo and try, and like you wouldn't really go for Ted at the time unless you were crazy. And then I remember, I think it was Orca or someone had like one of the first like ogre rings that was like really highly enhanced, and people linked that in world chat, and it was like unreal because there were no yellow sort of items in the game. And I feel like as our progression gets to a certain point, I don't feel like we're ever going to reach that sort of pride duo try era anymore. They've kind of done it with the Black Star gear, or not the Black Star, the Fallen God gear, where like depending on what stage of the game you're at a pride duo try, or you even go for Tet if you're like further in game.
I think the wave is
and you have
done.
the economy to push that. But I feel like I don't know if we'll ever return
That's a
to
shame.
pride duo try accessory era because of just sort of how the game's developed. Like, could you imagine a new item dropping and we only get it to like pry? I feel like they would have to change the enhancing system because the rates are just at a point where I don't think it's possible unless they like tier it differently. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever return to that because people are already looking at, for example, the Debo earrings as progression and stuff like people are already looking and mathing it out. Oh, okay, I'm gonna get a TET version of these. You know what I mean? That's gonna be pretty crazy.
What do you think about items like the Shining Alchemy Stone, where it's still like a unicorn out in the world? Like you like, there's no. If someone links that, you're like,
that's a lottery winner, a literal one in a bajillion lottery winner.
One in a bajillion, yeah.
Didn't Biohacks?
I mean, we kind of do have those things with 10 Fallen God.
I'm pretty sure Biohacks got his through a pre-order, which is kind of insane.
Bro,
like one out of 1,000.
Bro,
it's only really one out of 1,000.
Of course we want those things. We're playing an MMO. What are we even talking about right now? All MMO players want to do is flex how much time they haven't spent outside. Okay, and like how many of us and how many times have we all gone through this thing? Is let's link the rarest item in our inventories, right? Yes, I walk around with those items so that at any point I can ping the Infinity Stones at people. You know what I mean? Like I have like the super rare items, and I have like an escalating system to like bait them into it, and then I win every time at the end, right? Like they'll link a potion, and then I'll link the map, and then they'll link the compass, and then they'll link the merchant, and then I'll like whatever. And then the second that they have something that I don't, I just link that little item that allows you to crouch during Node War that I have and no one else has. You know what I mean? And boom, I've already won. Okay? I just bait them into it. That's how it works. You're trying to bait your friends so that you can flex on them harder.
Lol.
It's all about that EP, which is also a reason why we need to have a system in the game so we can investigate other players' gears. Like we want to see people's outfits, their gears, their combat level, like all that stuff. We want to see an inspect feature so that we can walk around town and inspect.
And see.
Counter.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
You'll know how many people have inspected you.
I know you love this game, RuneScape Blue. It has
oh
the
my
same
gosh,
function.
Him and
actually,
RuneScape.
Look up players by name, and it'll show all their account achievements. Like it could show like how many dungeon runs you've done.
This man loves RuneScape.
It could show. They could really do like a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Really cool. Like on RuneScape, if I wanted to know like what level
RuneScape, I do.
With their life skills, I could just
how
simple? I know the website has that, but
it's not so simple. It's simple, but it's not simple.
With other stuff, that would be so cool.
But
yeah, it would be super sick.
I don't know. I wish the combat was better.
I think that they've kind of gone the wrong
but I guess that's
way
what
with
makes
this.
it
Like in the past, they had the
too as
treasure
well,
items
kind of
and
unique.
stuff, and then like they
Yeah.
have
I don't
like
know.
the
I like
pen fallen
RuneScape.
god. Well, that's too
I don't play
that
it, but I
stuff's
like
too
it.
much, right? Because it encourages pay to
Right.
win. People don't really want to see that. Like it's the pen fallen god's like, okay, yeah, like give me a break. But like again, seeing something like an Orzeka back in the day, or seeing like a
Come on.
blue Orzeka or a
Come on.
green
Oh my gosh.
hued
This
Orzeka
freaking
or
mob.
an orange hued or
I'll kill him
Orzeka,
real quick.
anything like that with like a
Because he
new
likes to
title or
follow me.
something. This is super low effort
Get up,
content.
You're
and
wasting my
people would
time,
love to see
bruh.
stuff.
Come
Whoa, how'd you
on.
get that? You know what I mean?
Oh my
Like
goodness.
how'd you get that?
Mhm.
Like that extra aura, you know, around. Like that's what you want in an MMO. That's what we're looking for. We're playing in a fantasy world. It's like
9,000.
a second
Pretty good.
life kind of deals. That's what we're looking for. You want to have like the exclusive stuff. You want to feel important.
Might be my best hour
That's
yet,
what we're
honestly.
going for.
Mhm.
For trash loot. We'll
What do you
see.
think about
I'm on a good roll.
exclusive items which you cannot get anymore, such as like the Black Pegasus or the Lion's Ring, where it's just like one person? Do we want more events like that, or would they make us feel like that's
Come on.
like a
Come on.
impossible thing that we would never ever go for?
I'm totally okay with them giving away like a one item thing to like adventurers who did something that was worth what the item is, right? If they bring back like Mysteries of Summer, for example, heck yeah, man. I would love to see them give away like a one time item that only that player has. You know what I mean? Like, because that makes it like really cool. Yeah. It makes it like really, really cool.
Speaking of that,
I
I
like
need
that for
to
Mysteries of Summer, there still is a lot of people running around with some of those exclusive titles because
display
you don't see that very often
game
anymore.
window.
You see like
Yeah.
what is it, like a Soul titles from one of the first ones, and I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
that's like an OG. Like
The
this
Darkness
is like,
title, yeah.
Always high,
this is
always
someone that like
show.
went crazy because I didn't even
There
do
we
this
go.
back in the
There's
day.
my
I was
name.
like, this is insane. I'm not doing any of this stuff. Boy, do I regret it now, since the only titles we ever get are blue and yellow, and there's nothing else. I think you can get what, the orange one with Nuvercant, which is cool because people still ask what that is because some new players don't know. And then you get Vengeance is one of the only ones I ever went for back in.
Speaking of Vengeance, I have
one
it.
of the last Mysteries of Summer we did because
Yep.
we haven't had one since then, which is like 3 or 4 years ago. And that one was really fun.
Yep.
Really,
That was
enjoyed
fun.
that
It's
one.
cool event.
Because it felt like a real achievement to do that, and then you got something that is still pretty like exclusive. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's something worth striving for, and I think that's a good motivation for players to want to do those things, especially when you know it's not coming back.
Yep.
If you know, if we, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of like limited time events and limited time things. Like, I'd like to always be able to work on something and progress on something personally. But when you do have those summer long events, I do think that, like, you know, you really want to push for it. Like, oh man, it's a really good way to motivate players to play the game during that time and to do the thing. You know, you don't want them to stray off the path, I guess, right? And that's I think a good way to motivate players. Have fun and play the game.
Yeah, no. I completely agree.
Dude, just give me. I want cool effects.
Things are going to become more
like, I want my character to like glow.
It's a very simple solution. There's a number of different ways.
Like the Stormtrooper, that is so cool, man. But like, I'll never get that title. You kidding me?
Like they're
I never even know War. But either way, even if I did know War, I still would never get that title.
Again, more of those like treasures that really don't mean anything.
That'd be so cool.
Score. Again, it's better if it doesn't give stats because then it's even more of a flex. That's how MMO players work.
And then they can't make a reason to be like, oh well, we have to kind of like sort of pity the system because it's a requirement. You know, like that's essentially what the pots were. The pots were bro, back in the day, it was unreal getting that potion. It felt like a whole new piece of armor because I wasn't like, you know, my fairy was set to like 50% back in the day. And, you know, once I got the pot, you set that baby up to 95 and then you're cracking, you know? Like, you didn't want to set it, you know, low because you didn't need to anymore. You could sit at full health all the time. And it's a pretty good freaking feeling. You know what I mean?
Completely
and
agree.
That's really cool.
Yeah. No,
do we want more items like shiny alchemy stones to be more available, or do we still want to keep them? Do we feel like we should keep them as like that really exclusive thing that only a crazy person will go for, like fallen gods and stuff?
Well, you have to kind of break down what makes the shining alchemy stones so rare. It's literally because it's like you have to hit 3% after 3% after 3%, and it has to succeed 3% in a row or whatever, or else it blows up.
That's kind of nuts.
And it literally disappears. That's like Arcage level, like destroying your gear to get the best in slot item, which is freaking rough. Especially in a game where we have pawns and systems designed to protect that. You know, it's not like I know people are trying to click those things, but like out of the last like 5 years, how many people have clicked those? I think like how many have been made? You know what I mean? Like Leduc, I think is like the only documented one. You know, we don't see people. I mean, you don't see people linking it in world chat, I guess, but people would probably if they had it. You know. So
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
If we look ahead to our next topic of discussion here, yeah, we talked a little bit about item availability slash exclusivity. But if we look over towards Jay's suggestion was to talk about awakening versus succession versus ascension classes. How do you guys feel like the game is balanced right now? Personally, I feel like ascension classes are just huge W's. I think it makes the game much more approachable for a new player. I think it's the way to go. I think that's the
It's
way
easier
that
to
they should
play.
design most classes moving forward, in my opinion. I like that more.
I think at the,
So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think at the point in the game we're in, I think there's more than enough classes to have something for everyone. And then I think that Ascension should be the way to go. I think it's easier to balance. I think it's easier for them to manage the numbers. They don't have to make like a busted, movement kit with Awakening that then has really good, or pre-Awakening movement kit that then works with the Awakening kit. So then they have to balance the Awakening to go around the movement from the pre-Awakening. And it becomes this whole mess of like trying to balance. And then you inherently nerf one to nerf the other. And
I
feel
apologize.
Like Ascension. Sorry,
yeah, I have to explain. People are misunderstanding what ascension means. So, guys, succession basically you just use the main hand weapon on your class. Awakening means you're probably going to use both, but you're primarily going to be on the awakening weapon. Ascension is a lot like Scholar or Archer, where both kind of aspects of the kit kind of feed into each other all the time. The skills kind of happen naturally. So, like you start off with down F on your Scholar, and you've got 2 hammers, but by the end of the skill, you've got your sledgehammer out, right? The flow
into you both.
Yeah, it just flows back into Awakening, and then it switches back to Succession for you. Kind of like that.
Plus, it feels great. I mean, the Scholar class is probably one of the most best feeling classes I've ever played in the game. And I've played at least half of them, you know what I mean, through Succession and Awakening, and it just feels so smooth, and it's really satisfying the way her class is designed. I mean, obviously, I think it comes down to that as class design, whether or not it's going to feel good, like design-wise, but I think that Scholars should be like the star example of like how classes should feel when you're playing it if they're going to do Ascension style, because it's just really, really fun too.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like Ascension is basically the way to go, or what's it like?
I kind of is it too much to ask for all 3?
Yes.
I like having choices, as many choices as possible. Like I like both Succession, Awakening, and the idea of Ascension classes for everybody. Maybe it's a bit difficult to to balance around, but I always love like having just many different choices.
Yeah, the diversity.
Love Succession to play Succession. Love to play Awakening with the weapon swapping. That's also another topic I wanted to like sort of like lean into, was like the idea of weapon swapping, because I had this conversation the other day with a viewer about they wished Awakening was its own kit with no weapon swapping, and because they hate weapon swapping, and we got to this interesting conversation about the idea of Succession kits, Awakening kits, and Ascension kits just having their own spec, like just no like in between. For me, I personally like the idea of weapon swapping. I might be different on most people on this, but I feel like I get the most out of my class by utilizing both kits. It's like, I mean, I've always thought of the pre-awakening kit as and the awakening kit as 2 different, like, I guess, like toolboxes in a way you have access to, whereas Succession is just like one singular toolbox. And your combat in both PvE and PvP can be viewed as like different jobs, and some jobs might have the right tool in a certain toolbox. And perhaps it might just be the classes that I've played that made me feel that way, which the main 3 that I play has been, Witch for 5 years, and now I rolled over to Wusa, and I have Shy as a tag. Witch's pre-awakening abilities offered a lot of like, ranged DPS options, support utilities such as heals and buffs.
It's not gonna let me like
offered a lot of quick burst DPS.
Come on, bro.
Self-sustained
I can't even
abilities, and even
what the heck?
Speed buff for you and your allies. And for Shy, well, pre-awakening is the main DPS tool, and
okay, I guess that's not gonna let me.
Tool, right? We didn't really have a choice, but yeah, I mean, so swapping weapons just it felt like really ingrained into the classes that I played. I don't know if this is the case for all the classes, but again, I've always thought as the pre-awakening kit as part of the awakening kit. And so
I guess I don't have to
like
put anything back in.
Awakening is handled with the
I don't know.
weapon swapping. Do you like the idea of weapon swapping, or would you prefer Awakening to just be its own kit?
No, I think like you said, it's good to have both. But like, see, Right now, we have a lot of classes that can be Succession or Awakening. We have a lot of that, right? You have a lot of choices. What you don't have a lot of choices on are the Ascension classes. There are only Scholar and Archer. Like technically, like Shy does. I don't really count Shy as an Ascension class, but like I'd love to see more classes like that, especially with new players. We have a lot of new players kind of coming to the game over time. I think it makes the game a lot more approachable. It makes the classes easier to learn. It doesn't take away really from any of the PvP at all. And then if you really want to sweat, you've always got Ninja, you've always got Sork, you've always got Dark Knight, you've always got the like you can go Awakening or Succession on any of the older classes in the game. But like more like easily, like the reason I like Scholar is because it's really easy to approach and pick up and play as a new player. And although that's possible, we saw that with like Succession Megu, they kind of nailed it. In that case too. I like when they design a class, if they're going to go for Succession or Awakening, I like when one aspect of the kit is like super sweaty. Witch is a great example. Succession Witch is really sweaty, high APM, like Duelist, Giga Chad, like a really high skill ceiling. And then Awakening is like the lowest effort, easy peasy class to pick up and play. It's like super easy. So, like I like it when they kind of do like compare contrast like that because it helps players not burn out, in my opinion, because they still want to play their class, but now they want to be sweaty, and now I kind of want to take it easy. They'll just switch specs as opposed to like trying to tag something different. I think that players just kind of enjoy the game more when there's that kind of split. At least I do. In that case, I don't know, Blonde, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like there's enough Ascension classes, or?
Yeah, that was something I was gonna say. Is like I think it's tough when like. I want more Ascension classes, and I know it means that we're taking away from variety, or I want to try something different, but I feel like Ascension classes are maybe the next step into moving into Rabams being more class identity, right? You have a really cool ability to every class from now on is an Ascension class, but what you can do is make all the Rabams change fundamentals about the class. You know what I mean? Rabams don't have to be like, oh, it's a movement skill because we realized we didn't put enough movement, or oh, it's a CC because we didn't put enough CC or something, or a heal. Here's your backup heal. I feel like when you create Ascension classes to like kind of bridge the gap between like not feeling like you have an identity that's like, you know, or variation, or just something a little different of a play style, I feel like you could fill that in with Rabams. I think that could be the bridging gap to make it feel like more, you know, like fun in that
Come
aspect.
on, give me
I
the
think
loot. Give me the loot.
that's probably the way if they're going to do it. But I don't know. I think that they really still like designing other classes like Awakening and Succession. I think that the problem I see is that the balancing mostly comes from having to juggle those, where Awakening, for at least I guess PvP's sake, kind of feels imbalanced for some classes because they have the double the movement kit.
All right.
And I almost wonder if like separating them completely and
Nice.
just designing movement for Awakening and designing movement for pre-Awakening would be the play, because then you would not have maybe one broken aspect on one part of a class affecting the
I'm
other
so
part
close
of the
to
class,
62 as
but
well.
you're still getting to choose between whether you want to go Succession or Awakening, but you're primarily using those weapons from now on. I think that would if we if we were to go in a certain direction, that could be the way, or Ascension, and then you have like more Rabam abilities that like let you differentiate, or a branch in the skill trees. You know how like what is it, Succession, Wizard, and Witch, they can choose between two different abilities at the end of their tree. I almost wonder if that's like the path for Ascension, so that way you feel like you have a choice. Obviously, the choice is going to be whatever ability is 1% better, I'm going to choose that. But even then, you could design abilities to have different things. Like if you're going to go to a grind spot that has massive packs, you want big AoE. So I'm going to go the big AoE build versus the single target, I'm doing a dungeon run, so I want to nuke the boss run. Like I feel like the door is open to do those things. Whether or not they're going to do it is kind of entirely up to PA and whether they're motivated to do that to get people to play more classes, right?
Yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about hit potential? Okay, I know this is going to sound crazy because I like the Ascension version of a class, but like also, how do you feel about like they keep adding skills to the game, like 1 or 2 skills here, 1 or 2 skills there, to everybody, whether it be through the Magnus or your Rabam skills?
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Personally, one of the most exciting times in the game for me was when they added Succession. I would rather just see them add another tree of potential things for the classes.
That could
in the
be
game.
it too.
Yeah,
So that way,
like a third. I just feel like that'd be so hard to balance, though.
you don't want to pull from your
Man.
class, but you're kind of maybe getting a little
Like, how do you
stale on
balance that,
introducing a
though?
whole new tree that like is like a new weapon, not maybe in a weapon slot, but like a different skill set
The offhand.
entirely.
That's the main weapon.
The
is
offhand tree. They
Let's-
could really do. I think that would be really cool because there's a lot of people that don't want to roll off their class, but do feel like they're getting
Yeah.
kind of like I just want to try something different. I'm just I've been playing this class a lot, and I kind of want to do a little bit of something else. You know what I mean? I think that would be a perfect idea, but that we have so many classes, it would be
there's 20.
it would be an absolute cluster to ask them to do that. But I would like something like that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like they can do like. How do you guys feel like the new class is going to be? Do you feel like it's going to be another Ascension thing, this pipe class thing?
I hope he's Ascension. Honestly, I just think Scholar was so well, and if that's the benchmark they're setting it for, then cool. But I know that doesn't PA have a team for each? Like it's like a head person for a team for a class. So like honestly, it's kind of up to them, right? Isn't like every new person assigned the person that makes the class is like their baby, so they're gonna do it how they want. So I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna have a standard of classes where this is like how it's gonna be, or if they're gonna do like, all right, this guy wants to design this crazy wacky class. We're gonna give him all the resources, and he's gonna do whatever he wants, and they're gonna invent something new. Not Ascension, not Succession, not Awakening. We're gonna do Descension. I don't know, something crazy where I don't know. Who knows? It's their baby, right? They get to kind of do what they want,
Yeah, I mean, like, and yeah, I mean, like, we haven't really received any information on it, and I'm sure that that's intentional. I'm sure we'll probably get more information when we get closer to the ball, which is in what, like 2 months?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or a little less than 2 months.
Week of June,
A month.
Yeah. That's either of you going? Blonde, are you going?
I am not going. I mismanaged and misprepared, and some other stuff happened, so I'm not going to be able to go. But next time, we're preparing for next time. I'm going to get my passport. I'm going to get everything situated. And anytime there's another thing, I definitely want to go because I had a blast during Oasis, and I 10 out of 10 want to do it again. So
yeah, and we know that Jay doesn't actually leave the house, so you're not going either, right, Jay?
Well, listen, we're gonna get him a masquerade outfit, and he's gonna come.
Truly.
Masquerade outfit. That's kind of what Zirdan did the one time he showed up to an Oasis event.
That's exactly what he did, and we can do that with Jay too. We'll get him a Phantom of the Opera mask, and we'll just get him to go.
Just warning, if
I
you
thought
come,
the Hideout Ball was like originally a masquerade ball. Don't they have like the Hideout Masquerade like costume in the game for all the classes or something like that?
Oh yeah, but that outfit's garbage.
Oh. Well.
Tell me when that outfit is not garbage. No one wears that outfit for a reason. It's because none of us bought it because it's crap. It's just like the Puff Mini. No one likes that either. Also garbage. Okay, now we look ahead towards like the Gunner class. I think the Gunner class will be an Ascension style class. I think that it almost has to be.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I got some ideas too. I want to throw at you.
I think it's going to be the classic gunslinger, double pistol, like girl thing that we see in Lost Ark and the other MMOs. I think it's going to be basically the same thing because that's what they were kind of referencing when they talked about it.
Hold on, have you played the gun classes in Lost Ark? There's like 4 different ones and they play very differently.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Misfortune.
Which one are we talking about?
I'm talking about the MF one, the Misfortune one.
Okay.
When she does like a spin and like shoots all the guns and stuff.
Okay, so you're talking about the gun rotating class because there's 2 specializations, right, in each of those classes. You can choose one where you just specialize on one gun, but then there's also one that rotates between a shotgun, a sniper, and 2 guns. That would be pretty crazy. Could you imagine?
Jeez.
It's an Ascension bait because this was my thoughts. It's not Succession or Awakening, it's Ascension, but you're rotating between different stuff and like that. Like basically, you could copy and paste the class from.
It just has a bunch of guns or something
from Lost Ark.
Aphelios. Yeah,
and you like Aphelios from League of Legends, where you're rotating and they empower each other, right?
No, not like Aphelios, bro. Everybody that locks in Aphelios, no one has any idea what I do. Cons, I have no idea what I do. Like it's too complicated. No one understands what he does. He just dies all the same, just like the other 80 carries.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? So it could be bad and it wouldn't matter, but it'd be fun. We get like a Marnie. Marnie works and taps into some magical item where he basically has some sort of like sage technology mixed with some Marnie technology, and it's like some ultra transforming thing where he shoots like magic bullets or something. Could you imagine? That would be so sick. That would be so cool.
It would be interesting. Now, like the pipe class is the first male class we've gotten in a long time.
Gosh.
Now we didn't
really
dude. Talk about
why?
Like, the fact that we like legitimately have not seen a male class in some time. But like
Yeah, the
Oh,
next
we
like
all thought
5
that the
classes should be a
hammer
male.
class was going to be a male class too. I don't even know if I can't even think
Yeah.
of
So
another
stupid.
team.
The pipe class is actually a female, by the way. So
No shot.
Huh?
Is this an Archer situation? Am I being catfish?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Catfish.
Yep, that's yep.
yeah,
Jay Kun is right. You're right.
it's just from the thumbnail. It just
Yeah,
we,
he's a
we
femboy.
don't want to assume it's 2024. You know?
Listen,
That's true.
that's cool. I'm with it.
One
I
thing,
welcome the
you're
femboys.
joking,
Right?
but there's one thing that, like the Korea, it's not just Pearl Abyss, but it's just Korea in general. They do not mess around with that stuff. There is a reason that the classes are gender locked.
That's true.
In the game, they do not mess with that
We don't
stuff,
play
bro.
around.
In the United States, man, it's crazy, man. You just flip a coin. But like over in
Yeah.
Korea, they do not mess around with that stuff. Like it's crazy. So I do think that the new pipe class is 100% going to be a dude. Do you think he's going to fight with the pipe, or do you think it's like the Wusa Kane situation?
It's Wusakane is magic through the weapon.
Probably, yeah. It's
'Cause he's a third-
Wudo.
Wudo,
class?
yeah.
Do class, something like that.
Like dough wielder. He's a dough wielder.
Dough
which
wielder, that's
not
what it was,
not
yeah.
like bread dough, but dough as in D-O from the
D-O.
Land of the Morning Light. It's like the third magic style that they have from Megu
Yeah.
and Wusa. So it's probably going to be very similar to their style.
Yeah, honestly,
way.
if worst comes around, we can always just watch Chris Polly's channel so we know what it's not going to be
True.
as we get closer to it.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Very true.
Like every single time, leaks for the new class, and it's like I typed into the AI what the new class for BDO is going to be, and this is the sound that came out. Like, but yeah, no, I think the new class is going to be interesting. I will definitely play him when he comes out. Do you guys like? He looks like he's going to be Yasuo.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
keep
what
it
I was
a
thinking.
buck. I think that he's
I'm
basically going to
100%.
have the 0 and 7 power spike. This is appealing to like the ninjas and the kunos who start
Yep.
out 0 and 14 and then bring it back in the node war. But the only thing that made it into the montage was the 3-piece that they got. You know what I mean?
You know it. I 100% believe. You know. What kind of abilities do you think the smoking pipe's gonna have? I know we talk about the dough wielding
Dude, I'm
magic
telling you.
weapon being like, oh, he's like gonna shoot out abilities or magic.
It's gonna be
What do you think
like,
that the offhand's gonna be? Like,
what's
could
that
you-
anime
like,
character
could you
off
imagine
One
them
Piece?
using like an effect that like blinds your screen as like a
That
player?
the guy who like
or disorients
uses
you, you know?
smoke
Other players
You're
asthma.
crazy.
as
Or
like his
uses
main
their
attack.
stamina.
I know people definitely are theorizing
be
he's
kinda
gonna have
cool.
like a massive slow, because
Can't
of
think
the
of his
smoking,
name.
but
What
I don't
his
know, could
name
you
is.
imagine like someone blinding your screen with like a smoke cloud?
I mean, video always like
Stop.
does a pretty good job of making
Brand new
some of the newer
effects.
classes have really cool. For example, Scholar, her gimmick is like gravity and height, jump height,
Yes.
and stuff like that, right? And
Yes,
it scales
I
with her
love
jump
it.
height.
You could
For
fly
Meiku,
with your
it's the
smoke.
clone situation, right?
Yeah.
With misdirection, that mechanic, right? And then for Wusa, it's the reflect
He's-
damage, right?
So,
That's
The new
and-
guy's blazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say for this guy, he literally just gets he gets all of the Infinity Stones on 420 every year.
Oh no.
Dude, could
Like,
you
he just
imagine they
goes
would have
so
released it on
hard.
420?
Bro, they could do that for April Fools. I'm not even joking. They could do something like that for April Fools. It would go super hard. That would be crazy. Everybody's running around with the Infinity Stones, but they only have like they expire in 30 minutes, so you have to pop it right away kind of deals, and everyone's just running around blasting each other. That would be crazy.
Okay,
They
so
only
which
drop
wizard
on
have
Arsha.
they have the group teleport, right? Could you imagine a group stealth? They got it in World of Warcraft. The rogues had a group stealth.
They've got that in Naraka too. They've got Matari. You can make your allies go invisible for a period of time. Right, still targetable but invisible. That would be interesting.
Nuts.
That would be interesting.
Dude, could you imagine the backdoor sort of plays with something like that?
Bro, you're not backdooring anything like that, bro. Because the second that anyone touches you, you get knocked straight out of stealth, bro. They're spamming AoEs all the time in large scale PvP.
We go around the other side, far out. Let me go behind.
And congratulations, they just
Into
ran
the
to your
rear.
base and killed you. Yeah.
We're the elite X squad. We're the flex.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, bro!
I
They're
don't
in
know anything about
fantasy
war.
land.
Sorry,
Yeah,
don't
I
have
was
a
about
clue.
to say.
Yeah, this is like my PVE or fantasy for PvP. That sounds like so much fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not how it works, though.
What have you guys heard about the new node war changes? We'll talk about them briefly here. I know that you guys aren't.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. You shut your mouth. He just doesn't want to get flamed in the comments, guys.
The
He's-
whiteboard.
he's a
Remember the
pussy.
whiteboard?
Yeah.
Oh
Uh-huh.
gosh.
Oh, I love when he whips out the whiteboard. That's how you know
just
he's
look at
really
the whiteboard.
cooking.
Yeah, he's cooking.
He's
He's
cooking,
really
man.
cooking something
He's like,
up.
it'd be better if I just drew you a picture, and you're like, oh dear. Oh boy. Like dude can't even explain it to us. So basically, we do have some new node war changes coming. Let me say, like, I'm gonna appeal it to you as like a PvEer. So he's like, again, this is meant to appeal to PvEers to get more people to participate in node wars. So essentially,
good.
you spawn at town. No one starts with a fort. There's forts spawn up. If there's like 5 guilds on the node, 3 forts will spawn. Okay. And it's based on how many guilds spawn in. All right. Everybody spawns a town, like a designated town or whatever. And then you have to run out and you have to capture a fort. You have to kill it. And then you have to try to hold on to that fort and not let other, because if another guild tries to come in and they kill your fort, they get control of it. You have to try to hold control of it until time runs out, because, you know, they're different. I'm sure you guys know how like the different times kind of run out over the node war. So like one fort will expire at 20 minutes. The next one will expire at 40 minutes. Next one's at 30, 50, and etc. So like, I don't know, it seems interesting. I think it takes all the fun out of node wars for someone like me, because I'm a shot caller. I like the really engaging like chess match that I'm playing with the enemy guild, but like, you know, it does take a lot off leadership's back as well. Does that sound like something interesting for you guys? It's kind of just an RBF.
Didn't they say something about Devos dropping from it?
Did they?
This dude.
Tuh.
Oh my god, man.
Did I
You
misread
already
the
have
website?
all your devos.
Did I misread something like that?
Yeah,
swear
I think
saw
you
something
misread
about
it.
that.
No, I don't think that they have devos dropping from node war. That's just not a
Oh,
thing.
dang.
That'd be crazy though.
Yeah, they
That
did
would
talk
be
about
crazy.
they did talk about some of the rewards, but I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with it. Node War was also reduced to 1 hour, so like all of the content creators that do content for Node Wars,
I
like,
do kind of
specifically,
like
yeah,
that
they're all
though.
down tremendous.
Like, that was
in
also
this
another
case. So,
drawback
I don't know. Does it
for
make it
me.
sound like
Like,
it doesn't sound very exciting?
because I can
for
only
you
really
guys.
do
You
like
guys
1 to
don't
2
sound very
hours a day
excited about it.
anyway,
I
and
mean,
so
You guys
like
don't.
1
I
hour,
don't
I could
really
actually like
do RBF
suffice.
that much. Again, the only reason I did Node War back then was kind of honestly because of the Akrod. For some reason, you have to do Node Wars to get Akrod crystals, and I did. And like I did try my best to put in as much into the war effort as possible to help my team. And then when we finally took a break, we've taken a break
He's
indefinitely.
like the
Kind
Pied
of.
Piper.
Oh my god, bro.
So I mean, if they add something exclusive in a way, let's say I don't know, like a Node War costume, that would be something that would motivate me as a PvEer to try and acquire, because I am a completionist. I do like doing completionist things, so maybe adding some sort of something that doesn't really affect the game, but something for a completionist like me, because PvEers, a lot of PvEers are like very completionists. I mean, at least
I haven't had a rare drop in a while.
goal oriented. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
The heck? I haven't had a
I don't know.
claw
I
drop.
think, I don't know. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't want to really kill players. I like the option. I just
I'm
don't
kind of
really
turning into
care
that
to do
too,
it,
to be
you know?
honest.
I just I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm like the old age, veteran is just like it's crazy. I don't know. A PvE node war sounds like freaking fun though. Could you imagine
That's what I'm
monsters
waiting
coming out
for,
of
man.
portals?
Please.
You got like a bleeding portal. All of a sudden, a big ogre comes out. All right, we need everybody.
And they
group
just,
1, group 2.
you just watch
big
them,
portal.
bro. You just watch the ogre. I just want to watch it walk up to my guild and just wipe like 6 people. They just get
move it
absolutely
like a
murked.
Olin's
You know what I
golem,
mean?
just smash the arm, nuke the fort. That just sounds so much more fun than like
It
having
does.
to outthink someone. You know what I mean? Or do politics. Like, ugh. Gosh, I gotta figure out how to get a good fight rather than doing a PvE node where it is just designed to be a good
Everyone
fight.
just work
You know
together.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm really surprised they haven't pushed into this system unless it's something they're working on in the background. They talked about doing a bunch of new stuff, right?
They have the best combat in the genre. Okay.
Yeah.
What they're realizing is, man, when they started, it was, man, our combat's really good. We should expand on our PvP systems. Okay. Now what they're realizing is, man, our combat's really good. We should just expand on our PvE systems, and there will be less toxicity, and people will try our game more. Because here's the brutal truth is that in the greater MMO sphere, no one really cares about PvP.
Right.
Like period.
Right.
Dot. The MMO players are generally a little bit more relaxed. Not to say that everyone doesn't care about PvP. There's always going to be people that love to be competitive like that. But like,
Of course.
there's ways to be competitive while being way less toxic, and that is working cooperatively towards a PvE goal.
Yeah.
In this case, like large scale PvE or a raid or something. Like people love that content way, way more than they love like Node Wars and Siege for any MMO. It's always like that. There's always going to be more people doing raids and Siege than there will be.
Yep.
I mean, like raids and like large scale PvE content than there will be like in the PvP content. Yeah, the PvP content can be large scale. You can have hundreds of players, but there are tens of thousands of players playing the PvE content.
Definitely. I would really love to see a system like that with all the new stuff they're talking about bringing back, like Altar of Blood, reworking the the Witch's Token Shrine thing. There's like a bunch of these, and then we have the group guild activity. I feel like they're definitely resurging this vibe of like cooperating and doing like group activities and pushing more of that I think on the horizon is a PvE fort sort of Node War thing coming in. I think that
Oh God, please, dude.
I've never been like I don't like having requirements in a guild like, oh, you have to go to XYZ Node Wars, but I understand that that's what keeps the guild alive, because otherwise if everything was optional, people would just never do anything. You kind of have to make certain things mandatory in scheduling.
Yeah.
But I think that like, and you could even scale the PvE Node Wars because you're not relying on another player to fulfill that gap, right? You could do like, oh, we've got 20 people tonight. Okay, we're going to do a 20 set or a 30 set or a 40 set. And it just like scales appropriately. I feel like the design it's so there with the way the game's there. It's just,
Come on, give me one more ring.
Or maybe even more of an advanced, or even a smaller scale War of the Roses. Could you imagine like something where it's like involved, where it's like sort of a King of the Hill, sort of the Capture the Flag, where you're like racing against the other team, but you can kill the other team, but you're also killing other monsters. Like, I don't know. There's so many different ways they can kind of approach it, and I feel like the doors are wide open, especially because the people are primed for the content. I think now more than ever, people are super PvE brained to be motivated and go for this stuff, and if they set the right incentives, it'll just get the players ready to go.
I mean, circling back to our the progression of the from our first topic about the availability of like everybody's getting so much more gear now. It's a lot easier.
Right.
I mean, this is like the perfect time to probably create a content for all those people who have so much gear now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You're talking about Gambit in Destiny without being Gambit in Destiny, okay? Because they didn't manage Gambit
Could
super
you explain
well.
Gambit to the people who
so it's a PvE it's like a PvE game mode. So essentially, what you're working towards, you're trying to finish your PvE goal. You have to kill like the mobs and finish your objectives before the other team, and they are right next to you in like a different realm. There's like an invisible wall separating you two. However, every once in a while, as you're working towards that goal, a portal will open, and you can go, you can send one person on your team to go disrupt the enemy team's PvE and basically PvP them. And basically slow them down or throw them in reverse, right? And then that person comes back and your team keeps working. Gambit was, in my opinion, it was a lot of fun, but Gambit kind of flopped because they didn't manage it super well. I think that in BDO, I think they could make it work super well. People love PvE, people love PvP. The problem in Destiny is that was not the case. People did not like PvP nearly as much in Destiny. PvP was a meme in Destiny 2.
Yes.
And the PvE was also kind of a meme, like the grind in PvE in Destiny. I can't wait to do 80 more strikes. Like, it was a joke, dude. Not the 800th time you've done it. You're all just trying to get ready for the raid. What Destiny did really, really well was the raid content. Because again, people like PvE content. Like, especially that we have to work together and really work together. Like, everyone has to do their job or we will wipe. You know what I mean? Not like the dungeon where I can literally just half-ass it every single week and like literally learn nothing and we still get through the dungeon no problem, right?
Did you ever do the Oryx raid from Destiny 1?
No, I never played Destiny 1.
Oh man, dude. You basically were landing on a ship in space and like you had to traverse. So like not only was it PvE stuff, but there were puzzles. Like you had to do jump puzzles where like a wall was like slanted and you had to like jump on like portions of the wall, and if you had like certain weapons, you could boost yourself up certain ways. There's so many. Oh man, dude, that was, oh my god, such a fantastic time. The raids were 10 out of 10 out of any game I've ever played. They were fun the whole way through.
Yeah, no, I mean, like most of the Destiny raids were some of the better experiences I've had in raiding, and I was like, okay, so this is why people like raids. Keep in mind, I'd played BDO for a fair amount of time at that point when I started playing Destiny, but like I'd never experienced a PVE raid before because BDO never had raids. Like people raved about the raids in like Final Fantasy, and Lost Ark and WoW and stuff. Well, not Lost Ark at the time, but nowadays Lost Ark. But like I never really got a chance to experience that stuff aside from watching people do it, and it looked really fun, but like I was just never progressed enough in those games to kind of get it done. Destiny was the first game that I did that in, and I think that they really nailed that content. I think BDO could too. Again, it comes down to like how intricate is your combat system, right? Okay, it's super intricate. They are able to do this stuff. They're able to make
10
it
more
work.
minutes.
They just, for whatever reason, they still have all of their end game is all focused on PvP. When a new player comes into your chat and they ask, "Hey, what's the end game content? Is
Grind
it
in
all
a circle.
PvP in this game?" What do you tell them? Blonde, you answer first.
I'm sorry. Say it again. You said it so
when
fast.
a new
so I was
player
forgetting
comes
to
into
read
your chat and asks what is the end game content in this game, is it only PvP?
Oh, only PvP?
No, I mostly tell them it's if they're I tell
You're
them it's
gonna
a
lie to
grind
them,
game,
yeah.
but if they're interested in PvP, you could do it, and that's like sort of the goal. But other than that, I kind of tell them it's a grindy game. That's kind of the deal. It sucks that I feel bad for people that have talked about constantly how BDO has always been marketed as a
PvP game.
Oh, it's a PvP game. It's a PvP game. But nobody, like, it's a minority in actuality. And I feel bad for people that still are passionate about the part of the game because I feel like it's just kind of like, it's fun, but it's definitely not what most people are doing, like at all.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the case like back then, like when I was.
It's true
into,
though.
Black
Like
Desert,
I love
it was,
PvP, but
again, heavily advertised.
I
As a
definitely do a
PvP
lot
game.
more
And that's
PvE
what
than I do
kind of started
PvP.
working
That's for
towards at the
sure.
very beginning when I started in 2018. Was
Same.
getting my gear up to do that.
And he's
PvP,
still
but
working
it's
toward it,
definitely
guys.
Yeah.
He's almost at the gear score.
Well,
He's
the game was-
almost at the gear score, guys, where he can actually
Yes.
do
That's the
PvP.
thing. You always
remember
feel like you're
so
never
close,
at that
guys.
point where you're
The
like,
game's
okay,
kinda
now I can
changed, though,
PvP.
you know what I mean? It's done this.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had a lot less channels, we had a lot less spots, and so people had to PvP, but that was the fun, is like fighting over your spot. And I feel like because now there's so much progression and so many hours to push into progression, and back then there were still a lot of hours, but the gear just was different always as it is in the beginning. It was different. Like the fun was the fighting with people to get the resources. Now I feel like that doesn't really exist as much.
Because of
People are
Marty
just caring
Room.
about their time because they know they're gonna have to dump a large amount of hours. And I wonder if there's like a weird balance of like, well, if we make things faster and easy to get, then people won't push for so much time, and then they'd want to fight over stuff. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, because then they would just make another goal and then push for something else, or they would go to a different spot and push for something else. I feel like it worked in the original game, and the game just evolves past it, and it doesn't really work that way anymore. And it's tough to admit, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, so now it's time to move on to the cooperative PvE content that we all have been asking for years.
Your time is over, old man.
Well, again, the end game content, the end game group content in the game. Think about it. Like if a player came into your chat and asked for the end game group content in the game, there is nothing. Like we're gonna get like I have to tell them, yeah, we're gonna get the guild boss blitz soon. But like that's basically it. Aside from all the PvP, right? Like where I'm talking about, yes, is there end game PvE content? Sure, but it's all solo stuff. We want to work. We do want more stuff. The game can already be played solo. We don't need necessarily more solo content. Yes, people love to be able to play BDO solo. They can already do that. It's the people that do want to play together. Those people don't have enough content to play. Like there's just not enough there. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. We are running out of time here, so we'll go ahead and do closing thoughts here.
Already.
Let's go ahead and start with Jay.
Closing thoughts is that more PvE content. And you can find me over at twitch.tv, so Jake can BTV for the T.
There you go. All right. Nice. The blonde bear exit. All right, blonde. Yeah. Blonde, this is your chance to outdo him for once.
Yeah, but there you go. Go ahead.
I think there's a lot of things on the horizon, and I'm excited. I want them to continue doing stuff, and the only way to kind of show PA that we want this kind of stuff is to, sorry, I'm getting choked up.
You crying?
No,
you good, bro?
We have to get players to play the game, and I feel like right now a lot of people are playing the game, and so we just kind of have to keep
Nice. I got
talking and
another
playing and
ring.
saying positive things and talk about the hopes and wants and wishes, and those things will hopefully eventually come as they see more people wanting to see those things. I think that the more we sort of talk about things, the more it can kind of become reality. So, when you guys are, scrolling on Reddit or scrolling on a YouTube video or talking in, maybe the Discord or whatever, don't, talk about your ideas, talk about things you want to see in the game, talk about cool, fun things that maybe we don't have that would want.
Talk about it in the comments.
But yeah,
there we go.
mention
Oh
some
my
cool
gosh,
idea that's
Jay is
unique that
gaming
you'd want
right
to
now.
see in the comments, and we can talk about it. I think it's definitely possible that they have the potential to do so much. I mean, they want to go 10 more years, right? We're 10 years deep, and they want to go 10 more, and I think it's possible if they
Oh yeah.
do what the community likes and wants to do. And we can kind of shape
I
that
definitely
by
think like
talking
another
about it,
5 more
you know what
years
I
for
mean?
sure.
I think it's definitely possible. So yeah, you can catch me on twitch.tv/Blummer where I'm grinding for the Olens piece.
Good outro. Good outro.
And good outro. Nice. Outdid Jay that time. Easy peasy. And I am Blue Squadron. There's always something happening on my channel. Today we qualified for OTK's top streamer. We're in the top 6 now.
Woo!
Yeah, so if we win next week, or if we're in next week, then I think we're guaranteed like a pretty substantial amount of money.
Oh wow.
Oh my
But
god.
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, like I think we split. I think the finalists that aren't first split $25,000, and if you're,
Wow.
if it's split among 4 people, you're talking about 5 or 6K right there.
Nice.
Pretty sure that's
Dude,
how
that's
it works.
awesome.
And then the first place, if we do end up going on, it's for $50,000. So that's really cool. You can check that out on my YouTube and stuff.
$50,000.
I've been kind of going through that. There's 2 new YouTube videos every single day.
Dude, that is
Plus, we love covering
nuts.
all kinds of drama and news on this channel. From all of us here at the podcast, guys, make sure you leave comments on the video. It tells us what shows us what we should be talking about next week, what you guys are interested in, the hot takes, the things that you like, the things that you didn't like. We do read all of those comments, so make sure you kind of engage with the video a little bit there. From all of us here at the and it's also on Spotify. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. From all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, have a great rest of your week.
Boom boom. And I love their podcast. Their podcast is so good. I just love podcasts in general. I would love to do my own podcast. It's so cool. I feel like you can never have too many podcasts. It's always good to get different takes, different opinions. Really, like back in the day, the value pack with Frosty, Reslar, and what was the other? What was Reslar, Frosty. I'm pretty sure he was a Manwa. Was he a Manwa? I think he was a Manwa. Oh, I can't think of his name. I don't know if he even still plays. But man, that podcast was just banger. And the crazy thing about that podcast, dude, they would go like 2 or 3 hours long. And like Frosty, dude, he was so good. Really sad that they stopped doing that. But another one came up. The Old Moon podcast. Just wish it was a little bit longer than an hour, just an hour. Like 2 hours would be awesome. It's kind of crazy to think though, like I mean, like once you get to the topics, especially if you have, you know, a few people to talk to, then you can just kind of just go on and on about your own opinions. So, 1 hour turns into 2 hours. And, oh, look at that. I got another one. Nice, dude. I'm gonna finish. All right, I guess I'm gonna finish up with the waves. Dude, I'm telling you, this hour, like my trash, this hour is gonna be insane. Like literally insane. But yeah, I feel like BDO, kind of where it's at right now, can easily get or easily go, at least another 5 more years for sure. I mean, they'll honestly probably make like BDO 2, like those are online too, or something like that, with a whole new engine. If I'd assume. We're just gonna finish up this pack here. I'm at 2,700. Yeah, I literally had three of these kind of like waves happen this hour. Kind of insane. Probably, yeah, I'm going to stop there. Oh, all right. What an hour. I definitely, for sure, got the most trash that hour. Like, kind of insane. Let's see what I got. So, that so 63,855 minus 97,589. So 33, 33,734. All right, so I had 1.1 billion silver at 245% drop rate. Need to put that down too. Nice. Not bad, honestly. I mean, still pretty RNG based, but still kind of nuts. All right, YouTube. Well, thanks for watching, and hope you have a good day tomorrow. Peace, peace.